when it comes to your computer, is there an aspect of it that could very well be closer than before to actually happening? Well, according to Dominic Williams, who is the founder of Dfinity, seems like that is the case, at least according to him. And let me explain why this even matters in today's video and what it even is. However, I first want to clarify, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, just my personal perspective, and nothing I say is financial advice. So of course, Dominic Williams is talking about nothing other than the open software as a service suite mission. Now, people may be thinking, who cares about this nonsense? We have to think about the mission though, right? What is the intent of something like this? Now, first of all, he says it's now past 5,000 commits and it's coming, but again, the intent is the fact that the goal is to rebuild, these enterprise software as a service apps, right? But it's trying to make it like open source. So it's powered by intelligent agents and all this. So we got to think about this. Why does this even matter? Because an example of software as a service is like, let's say Netflix or Canva, or let's say in the case of Salesforce, something like that. Those are just some examples. But the goal, again, is to kind of have a different flavor, like I mentioned before. Their intent is to rebuild, let's say, some enterprise software as a service apps and make it like open source and it's powered by intelligent agents. That's kind of it, basically. So it's having like this AI aspect. Now, people like to say, well, how is that going to impact the computer in any sort of significant way? Like, why does this even matter? Well, we have to think about it, right? There is an intent here. It's not like Dominic Williams is just doing this for fun or as a passion project. That's really not the case. There is a attempt here to try to make their computer have better adoption, because when it comes to this, right, these alleged open software as a service apps, they're going to consume cycles, or should I say compute, on their computer, if it hypothetically fully does happen. But this is, again, I'm going to explain, right? So, usually companies, they're going to, in some cases, pay for these cloud engines if they want to even use it. But what happens, right? 80% of the revenue from cloud engines, it goes to independent node providers who actually run the hardware, but actually 20% is used to acquire the computer in terms of the token and actually burn it. So what does this do? It actually creates this deflationary pressure, right? Now, I get it's only 20% of the revenue, but still, this is what is trying to be done, or this is what Dominic Williams is trying to do. I think that's a better way to say it. So we gotta let that sink in. I get it. The open software as a service suite mission may sound kind of silly at first glance, but the more we think about it, the more we take a look at that there is an actual intent here by Dominic Williams. He's not just doing it for fun. If I just kind of want to simple things down, basically the whole goal, I think, of this is to not only create more activity when it comes to their computer and hypothetically allow for better adoption for cloud engines if it were to fully launch, but also on top of that, actually create this deflationary pressure when it comes to their computer, because we do know that there is ongoing inflation as of right now when it comes to their computer, right? They're trying to reduce it through things like Mission 70 and all that, this strategic plan to cut the computer inflation by up to 70% by the end of this year. They're doing all this type of stuff. There's a bunch that is currently being burned as of right now, but it's not enough to make it deflationary currently. So of course, even though we haven't seen the full-on launch yet of cloud engines, even though we haven't seen the full-on launch yet of the, mission of this open software as a service suite mission or whatever, right? Even though we haven't seen that fully, if we do see all of that, that could very well help allow to create more of a deflationary pressure when it comes to their computer, which I don't find to be a bad thing. Furthermore, when it comes to this, again, need I remind people, Dominic Williams said that the open software as a service suite mission is coming. That's what he said, because he says now there's over 5,000 commits. So again, at least there's progress there, and at least he's trying. Will it succeed? Or will it even happen? It remains to be seen. I have no idea. I can't control that. But at the same time, I seem to like the creative ways, right, that Dominic Williams is thinking about how to reduce the inflation. I just think it's pretty interesting. I mean, this is a pretty creative way. Like, can you imagine thinking about this type of stuff? Like, this is kind of thinking outside of the box. A lot of other projects out there, they're not going to be thinking about this type of stuff, but Dominic Williams, he is. Not only is he thinking about Mission 70, he's thinking about this type of stuff, which some people may think, oh, this is a bunch of nonsense, but I don't really agree with that. This is a pretty creative way, actually, in terms of what he's thinking. Will it happen, though? Will it come into fruition? Will it succeed? Again, we really don't know as of right now, but his creativity, I find it quite commendable, right? I mean, he's thinking like about these different ways and all that. So I find it quite impressive. But you know what? In terms of the price, not really much has happened there. Still around $2.25 when it comes to this. Basically around $2.20. Really not much to go off of there. Again, like I mentioned previously, we saw around $20 back in 2024. In November of last year, we saw around $9. So in any case, we're almost 10 times away than the peak in 2024, and then we're around 4 times away than November of last year. Those are 2 points we've seen before. That's how low the Earn computer is comparatively to those moments. But I'm just saying, at those times, I didn't see this, like in terms of the improvements fundamentally. So I would arguably say that the fundamentals are better right now, yet the charts were better before. The reason why is because the markets were doing better before. It's not doing so good as of right now. But I don't mind though, because I don't mind the dip personally. And if a project that I'm already a fan of is down and I'm dollar cost averaging approximately once a month anyways, I'm not going to complain, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But nonetheless, when people like to tell me that, oh wow, they're on a computer, the inflation is just through the roof. They say that Dominic Williams is not trying to do anything. Well, he actually is, right? Mission 70, that was kind of the initial massive thing that we saw as of late. But the open software as a service suite mission, that's kind of like the more cherries on top, if that kind of makes sense. Or the cherries on top, I should say. It's just trying to further reduce the inflation, I think, when it comes to this. That's not the only mission, though. Of course, there's another aspect too. It's trying to increase better adoption when it comes to cloud engines if it were to fully launch and all this. So of course, there's a lot of goals in terms of what they're trying to do with that. But I'm just naming a few here. And if anything, their effort, I find it quite impressive that they're even trying to do that type of stuff as of right now. But in terms of the price, you know what? I'm just still waiting. I'm still holding. But at least I'm seeing better improvements. So I think that's quite impressive. And if it does fully launch when it comes to the open software as a service suite mission, I'll be sure to make a video on it. Because again, Dominic Williams says coming. So I'm pretty sure he's trying to say it's coming soon, maybe. We don't know the exact date yet. But I'm just pretty happy to see it nonetheless. However, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a very amazing day. It's Malik the Captain.